Good morning. This is Barry Wolfe. I am here. I am truly excited and honored. I've got as a guest on here on the episode of Wolfe Bites, I've got Jayson Siano, CEO and founder of Saber Real Estate up in New York. Really one of the visionaries when it comes to social media related to our commercial real estate field. Jayson, I am so pumped to have you on here. This is tremendous.
Barry, well, first off, thank you for having me. Second off, thank you for the kind words. And third off, I can't be more excited to be on Wolfe Bites as guest number two after Beth Azor. I'm so pumped.
It's absolutely. So now let's jump into it. We'll keep this brief. But no, Jayson, obviously you did 100 plus, 150 plus episodes of Future Proof. You just rolled out your newest vlog series, Digital Discussions. I caught that this morning. Was fantastic. It
Thank
was
you.
really relevant, timely. So on there you had two fantastic retail operators, the COO, one of our, a mutual friend of ours of a retail REIT, Chris Ressa. What struck me, Jayson, was how real the discussion was, how raw, how impassioned it was, particularly as related to a couple of fantastic retail operators. They're fighting for their professional lives in reality when we get down to it. You're in the hot zone. You're in New York City. What do you think? How do we get past all of this? How do we make it where when we get through this, there is a resale sector, their landlords are still surviving? What's your vision? I mean, how do you think we can kind of get past all of this?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be a long, tough road. I think that we're entering a new world, and it's going to be very different than the world that you and I both know. Fortunately, I you mentioned that I've done a vlog for three and a half years now, weekly, called Future Proof, which was basically helping people understand the importance of developing a personal brand in business, and in addition, elevating your presence on social media as a company in general. I know how important it is, and I know how valuable it is. Also know how difficult it is to actually do. This is not simple stuff. It's basically another job, right? So to actually answer your question, I think that landlords are going to have to work with each specific tenant to understand their needs. When any deal that we negotiate on behalf of our clients, it's really a partnership, right? And both sides need to feel like they got a fair deal. That's the only way it works. The challenge in this new world is going to be when restaurants are forced to open at half capacity, right? If they had 150 seats leading into this and they have to open with 75 seats, the pro forma that they used to pay the rent that they agreed to is out the window. It no longer works. So that is the biggest issue that we're going to have going forward. So I think there's going to be a lot more businesses, unfortunately, that close regardless of whether or not they get a PPP loan or an EIDL loan. That's not the solution here. That's supposed to help bridge the gap to getting back to normal. The problem with that entire structure is that's, again, assuming that getting back to normal means that we're on pause right now. We're not on pause. This is a complete reset. So there's going to be a lot of other things that are necessary to ensure that these businesses can actually open and once again thrive in the new world.
So you mentioned, Jayson, you make an excellent point. I mean, when we get past this and we're able to open the doors again, we're not going back to the days immediately, at least, of restaurants that are packed and bars that are packed. It's going to be reduced capacity. So this is not a matter of who's able to pay rent in April and May. Do you see leases being totally restructured over at least the next year or so, or what do you think?
I do. I mean, in addition to that, I think something that nobody's really talking about, and I'll bring it up. I think that that the cloud of COVID-19 is going to allow a lot of smart business people to just say, hey, I'm not reopening these underperforming locations. right? So they're going to look at this as a major opportunity for them, because they're not going to have to answer many questions when they cherry pick locations that are not profitable and say, let's just not reopen those, right? So not as easy to do in some cases as it is in other cases, right? When you have a corporate entity signing a lease versus a shell corporation, whether it's franchise or a corporate location. There's so many other factors involved. But the short story is a lot of smart people are going to make decisions to ensure their company is as healthy as possible, as far as them controlling that. So, I think there's going to be a lot of other there's going to be a ripple effect of a lot of things that happen, which will result in a lot more available space on the market. I think, which will also in turn affect pricing structure and overall value of assets.
Yeah. And you mentioned as far as selectively closing underperforming units, do you see, are you referencing that as part of a bankruptcy filing, or?
No, I'm just suggesting, if I'm XYZ company and I'm the CEO of the company and I have 100 units, and of the 100 units I have, there's 25 underperformers that break even or not even, I'm going to try to think about how I can get out of those locations, right? So I think, that's something that not a lot of folks are considering, or I don't really hear people talking about that. And maybe it's a little taboo to talk about, but at the end of the day, that there's a lot of folks thinking that way. So I think there's going to be a lot of leverage that tenants have in this new world, because, let's not forget for a second, Barry, the most important thing is that this entire evolution of retail has been happening for over a decade now, right? So the difference is that it's been incremental. So every year it's changing a little bit more and more, and obviously companies are forced to have omni-channel presence and not only focus on brick and mortar. You see obviously direct-to-consumer brands opening up physical stores. A lot of people are talking as if those direct-to-consumer brands opening physical stores, that they're like the saving grace of retail, and between Untuckit, Warby Parker, Bonobos, they're going to save all of the other retailers that are going out of business, and space that's coming on the market. In addition to that, another interesting thing is that a lot of the internet-proof segments like fitness, gyms, boutique fitness, restaurants, hospitality, entertainment concepts, those are the companies that have come in and backfilled, the space that traditional retailers who have closed have made available, right? Now, those internet-proof concepts are basically the ones hurting the most right now. Right. So what does this all do for the future of retail real estate? Even before coronavirus, there was not the same need for the amount of people and companies that kind of service this entire industry the same way that there was back in 2005. You could focus on a very small geography, and as an advisor or a broker or whatever you are, you could focus on a small geography and do enough business to make a good living. And that's been changing over the years drastically. And everything that's been happening for the time frame that I've mentioned is now, coronavirus basically lit a match, poured gasoline on it, and then threw a whole bunch of cases of dynamite on it. So any of those companies that were kind of slowly, going out of business or in jeopardy are basically done overnight.
I just say it's in 30, 60, 90 days, we're accomplishing, for lack of a better word, what took 5 years of the Great Recession. And like you mentioned, we've been leading up to this. None of us thought it was going to happen in a 30 to 60 day period. Pennies, a lot of these brands that have been hanging on by their fingernails, they're going to be wiped out. And that's, in that regard, I don't even see that necessarily as a negative that's going to happen immediately. As they say, rip the Band-Aid off.
I agree.
No, it's going to look different. It is. You're right.
But I think, again, it's not, to your point, companies that were not healthy and probably past their natural expiration date,
Right.
you know, them going out now is like, is that really that big of a negative? You never want to, you're not rooting for companies to go out of business, but at the same time, it's like delaying the inevitable. It's basically like rearranging the deck furniture on the Titanic. It's, at a certain
Exactly.
point, you
Exactly.
know, it's sinking. So,
Yeah, real quick, anything, I mean, taking a positive spin in, 30, 45 seconds, anything you're seeing that in this really difficult time that is working for you, either for you personally, your firm, the company, the sector, what are you taking a positive spin on?
yeah, well, first, before I go into what's working for myself and Saber, I want to give a major shout out to Danny Meyer for returning the $10 million in the payroll protection program. You know, he has a responsibility as a leader in the restaurant category. You know, I don't think it's right for companies like Shake Shack and Ruth Chris and Potbelly to take tens of millions of dollars that unfortunately you know, leaves other small business owners who are basically at the brink of shutting their doors for good. You know, I think Danny did the right thing. So I wanted,
Actually, great call out. Absolutely.
yeah. So,
Phenomenal example.
and by the way, if he didn't do the right thing, he would have lost a lot more than the 10 million that he got. So
I wish I had a location near me. I'd love to go load up on Shake Shack burgers today. I mean, such a phenomenal example, which he's been for years. So
for sure, for sure. So you know, to answer your question about what's working for Saber, you know, I will tell you, I've known for the last, you know, 4 years that I've gone really heavy into video, you know, digital media, a weekly vlog. I've known that there will come a time when people would stop thinking that I was so crazy for doing these things, and realize, you know, that there was a purpose, and that maybe they should have adopted this type of stuff a lot earlier.
you're crazy until you're a genius.
Well, listen, I just want, you know, I just want my hard work to pay off. And, you know, fortunately I can say that it is.
Right.
You know, I'm having people of all different experience levels, years in the industry, reaching out to me and saying, you know, Jay, been paying attention to what you're doing for a long time. And, you know, I think Saber is probably arguably the best national advisory firm, boutique firm that's in the space today. And, you know, want to know if there's a possibility, an opportunity for me to either join you guys, you know, or collaborate with you guys. And, you know, that is, honestly, it warms my heart, you know, because I've been really spending my entire life over the last decade now with Saber to, you know, I always said back in the end of 2010, when I started the company, on paper, and then ultimately launched in early 11, I kept saying we were building a company for the new world. I didn't really know back then exactly what that meant. I also, you know, coined the term. Our slogan was "Beyond Real Estate." You know, so many of the things that I envisioned then are becoming a reality now.
So here we are. Not how anybody expected, but you were. I mean, like you said, future proof. You were preparing for something. Nobody envisioned this, but I mean, you're right there, and you're a leader in the business for sure.
Barry, I appreciate that. And real quickly, I'm going to actually, I was watching episode 100 last week of Future Proof, and I just went back to it, and it like came up on my phone, and I just clicked play. And I didn't even realize that I did this, but that was shot in December of 2018. And I basically said to everybody watching, I said, within the next 12 to 18 months, there's going to be a major change, and there's going to be a lot of folks in the commercial real estate business that are no longer in the business as a result of the next change. And, you know, I didn't know how that change would happen, but I knew it was coming. And, you know, this, I actually had my digital media team convert a piece of that, you know, me on the left side, you know, Gary Vaynerchuk style, me on the left side in December 2018, me on the right side last week, saying, you know, it wasn't so crazy to be able to call that something was going to change in the not so distant future. I nailed it. That was about 15 months prior to this happening.
Agreed. Unfortunately, you did nail it. I do one last quick question. Anything you took for granted pre-corona that you can't wait to get back to, whether it's a restaurant, a social activity with the family, yourself, anything you kind of, like I said, took for granted, but now you're you're chomping at the bit to get back to and we'll far more appreciate going forward?
Barry, honestly, everything. You know, when you're working as long and hard as I am, you know, there's a lot that you take for granted because you're sacrificing so much to constantly be on your game and ahead of the curve. So I've been able to really smell the roses as a result of this isolation period. But one thing that I'm really excited about, you know, obviously, listen, I've spent a lot more time with the family and the kids and everything else period. So, and I love that. But you know, everybody who knows me knows I'm really passionate about fitness and group fitness, and I can't wait to get back into you know, a gym and into solid core F45, all, you know, my go-to workouts, and responsibly be able to work out again in a group environment, because you know, I learned through the use of my Peloton during this last month that you can get your fitness in, man, but you know, there's so many other aspects to group fitness that are, you know, being social and really having you know, something to do that's positive, as opposed to going out to a nightclub and drinking and, you know, all that fun stuff. So I'm really looking forward to that stuff. In addition, even though we have our morning Zoom calls every day at Saber, I can't wait to, you know, see my Saber family and be able to work with them in a collaborative environment in person. Miss that.
That's fantastic. Just getting back to the social element of life. So no, Jay, thanks so much for joining. It's always a blast getting together with you. Hope that we'll maybe the conference before the year end. Hopefully we can get together, you know, plus press the flesh, as they say, have a drink together, and, you know, celebrate getting past through all of this. So thanks so much.
Barry, listen, it's my pleasure, and thank you for having me on. And most importantly, man, kudos to you for really stepping it up and future-proofing yourself and your business. I think you're a perfect example. When I talk to my team about, you know, how to utilize social media and video and writing and LinkedIn and Instagram and Facebook, everything that we're using, you know, I always use you as an example, because I know you say you're an introvert, you know, this isn't really your style. And, you know, you're doing such a great job, man. I really appreciate what you do.
That means a lot. Thanks so much. You, your family, your team, all be safe, and, you know, we'll get together here soon. I certainly hope.
You as well. Thanks, man. Keep up the good work.